There's breaking news tonight on the William Tyrrell mystery, with reports that detectives in New South Wales are now confident there's enough evidence to charge his foster mother over the toddler's disappearance. The now 58-year-old woman has always denied any involvement in William Tyrrell's disappearance.
Next, what do police have on the foster mother? We test the case against her.
That's a brand new documentary about missing toddler William Tyrrell, but don't let that clip get your hopes up. Australian police, press and prosecutors still haven't quite figured out what the Australian public knew right away 10 years ago. So today, let's watch this documentary together to figure out why they're all finally starting to see the obvious and how much further they still have to go. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation, so if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For exclusive videos, early access, and other cool perks, join the channel. Link in description. As I said in the intro, I think the Australian public figured out pretty quickly that the most likely suspects in William Tyrrell's disappearance were his foster parents. And I think they were able to do that because statistically, by a factor of a couple thousand, it's the most likely scenario, but also because the foster parents' early interviews were so suspicious. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you saw my videos from a year ago where I broke those down, but even if you haven't, or even if you're brand new to this case, don't worry because this documentary will bring you up to speed. So there's just one thing I want to say before we grab our deception decks and start watching this documentary. In America, at least, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but this isn't a courtroom, I'm not a judge, and you're not a jury. We have every right to form an opinion based on the evidence available to us, even if that evidence wouldn't be admissible in court. In other words, if William Tyrrell's foster parents want to hide their identities or their names or any evidence, they do so at their own peril. Because if anything that might exonerate them isn't being made available to us, then the logical thing to do is to simply assume the worst. Alright, without further ado, let's watch.
It's been 10 years since 3-year-old William Tyrrell went missing from his foster grandmother's house on the New South Wales North Coast. Now, in a short few weeks, a long-stalled coronial inquest will reopen, and it's crunch time for New South Wales Police, who for the past 4 years have been implicating William's foster mother, alleging she had something to do with his disappearance. Tonight, senior investigators take us through the case for and against her. If there's an image burned into the Australian consciousness, it's 3-year-old William Tyrrell, the little boy in the Spider-Man suit.
He was playing. He was having fun. He was
in his Spider-Man outfit.
in his Spider-Man outfit playing Daddy Tiger.
The voices of William's foster parents describing the terrible morning of September 12, 2014.
I think back to that moment where I just went, I can't hear him.
Sometime between 10 and 10:25 a.m, William disappears from his foster grandmother's house on New South Wales mid-north coast.
And I've just walked out and I just see nothing.
William?
I see nothing. I hear nothing.
Even in that very brief clip, we already have multiple signs of deception from William's foster mother, from her use of the word just, which is often correlated with deception because liars want to minimize their actions, to telling us what she didn't see and didn't hear, which is negation, which is also correlated with deception, because it allows liars to seem cooperative because they're telling you something without actually revealing any information. To finally, one of my favorite signs of deception, changing tense. I went outside, I hear nothing, I see nothing. Liars often fluctuate between past and present tense either because they're making up the lie portion of their story in the moment so they say it in the present, or because they're reconstructing their made-up story in the moment rather than simply relaying experiential memory, which we naturally do in the past tense because it happened in the past. But I've already broken down the interview that clip was pulled from in extreme detail, so I'm not going to rehash it here. I'll link that video on the end card if you want to watch it next. Instead, I simply want to point out the fact that the journalist here isn't saying allegedly before any of this. Remember, there's no proof that William disappeared that morning. There's no proof he was even at grandma's house that day. The only evidence of it is the word of the two most obvious suspects, his foster parents. So everything the journalists say here should be alleged. But that's nothing compared to what's coming up next. Listen to this next part closely.
And I've just walked out and I just see nothing.
William?
I see nothing. I hear nothing.
William?
Now, police have William's foster mum in their sights.
I have a vision in my head. Somebody reached over and I sort of feel like they've gone clump on his shoulders, picked him up and moved him on, because to me that's the only way I can explain for him not to be there.
Tonight, we'll investigate the case for and against her and ask, have the police got it right? What went wrong with the investigation?
Happy birthday, William.
Police emergency, this is Simone.
Yeah, hi. My son is missing. He's 3.5. Sorry.
What's your address?
Benneroon Drive, Kendall.
Okay, Benneroon Drive in Kendall.
Yes.
All right, I'm just going to bring that up on my map. It won't be a moment.
Thank you.
There's a desperate search. Hundreds of SES volunteers, neighbours and police. But not a trace of William is found.
A team of 30 investigators is now taking the lead in the hunt to find William.
New South Wales Police launched Strike Force Roseanne to investigate what is rapidly looking like an abduction or worse.
Pretty quickly it became increasingly worrying.
Former New South Wales Police Assistant Commissioner Mick Willing first oversaw the William Tyrrell investigation as head of the Homicide Division. So as those early days went on without finding William, it was handed over to Homicide?
Yeah, that's right. We didn't publicise that because at the time involving Homicide in a particular job would create a narrative out in the public which was very difficult to control. But we were involved from about a week onwards.
As I said earlier, one of my biggest problems with this case is how the investigation was handled. As you just heard, they allowed an entire week to elapse before they treated it as a homicide. And when they finally did, at least some of their attention, even if it was just one iota, was directed at something totally irrelevant. What the public might think about the investigation being treated as a homicide. And I don't know if it's just that police force or just Australia, but this is something other police forces we've analyzed on the channel have solved very easily. For example, the RCMP, or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, simply treat any missing child case as a major crime. That way they don't even need to worry about how they're going to explain it to the public, if it even has to be explained at all. But those procedural issues are nothing compared to the incompetence of the lead detective, and he's coming up next, so let's keep listening.
For 4 long days, an army of volunteers and police have searched for little William Tyrrell, and still not a single clue.
We'll continue with a very open mind and we'll look at all avenues.
Go, William.
Gary, September 12, 2024, William disappears from this house. What do you look for at the scene?
The house and the area where William disappeared from, you could consider that ground zero.
Former New South Wales homicide detective Gary Jubelin led Police Strike Force Roseanne for 4 years. It does haunt you, though.
It does haunt me. There's not a day that goes by when I'm not thinking about William Tyrrell.
Ready, set,
or someone's asking me questions about William Tyrrell.
Gary has always believed William was taken. So not misadventure, not a case of William wandering off and getting lost in the bush, for example.
No, and I came to that conclusion on the basis of what was searched during the time of William's disappearance, the initial search, and then the further forensic search that was conducted in 2018. We covered an area during that period that an area that William couldn't have gone past.
Up the hill would have taken him a bit of time, little tiny legs for a 3-year-old. Heavy bushland, almost on every other side of the house bar the front yard.
Yeah.
If he'd gone in those directions, into the bushland or up the hill, do you believe he would have been found?
I believe he would have been found.
Gary formed the belief that William heard a car and thought it was his foster dad returning home.
At the time of William's disappearance, he was becoming bored and he was told that his father would be home soon. Then he was seen to go around the side of the premises.
According to Gary, a compelling witness was William's sister.
I held a lot of weight on the fact that William's sister, at the time when she was interviewed by people that had the appropriate skills to interview a child of that age, made the comment that looking for daddy's car.
And that stuck with you, hasn't it, that she said that?
Yeah, well, if you're looking at communications, the honesty of a 5-year-old child is, the fact that where possibly could have William gone.
Gary continues to hold the view that a predator in the mystery car kidnapped William. But it's history that Gary Jubelin was taken off the case and left the New South Wales Police Force in controversial circumstances for illegally recording a person he suspected.
To a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and to a homicide detective, everything might look like a homicide or a kidnapping, and that might be why Gary Jubelin overlooked the most likely explanation, that the foster parents who were with William at the time of his supposed disappearance were responsible, whether because of neglect or negligence, and simply covered up what happened. I also think that's why he took such extreme measures to try to prove that someone kidnapped William. Admitting that you're wrong, especially after you've accused someone and publicly stated that they kidnapped a kid, is really, really hard. Cognitive dissonance is why otherwise upstanding police, prosecutors, even politicians bend the law to try to prove something that at the back of their mind they know isn't actually true. We're about a third of the way into this documentary, so if you want to continue, let me know by liking, commenting, and sharing. Check the end card for my William Tyrrell playlist, which has all my videos about this case in chronological order. Until next time, stay true.